So before we get into PBS Learning Media, here you can see our website. This is the homepage of KET Education site, and that's ket.org/education. Just a couple of things I want to point out so that you'll have access to this later. There is a link near the top of the page that will take you straight to PBS Learning Media. So if you're on our site and you want to use that link, that's available. I believe there's also one at the bottom of the page too. You'll see that we provide resources, this is all free, that are arranged according to early childhood, K through 12, grade level, and adult education. And then alongside the side of the page, you'll see additional links, and below that, you can't see it on this screen, special resources. We do have a newsletter, a free newsletter, so if you want to sign up, you'll have access to information as soon as it's sent out. So please do join us there if you would. So a little closer look here, just so you can see a little better. There's the early childhood, K-12, and adult education. Notice there's a link here to take you to Learning Media. You can browse our resource library, and you can also find out about our free, or mostly free, educator professional development. So if you would, we would love to get some feedback from you while you're learning at home, teaching at home. We have a survey. So if you would go to our website, you can click on this link here and take just a quick minute to tell us what things that we have provided that you found very useful, what other things that you might still need. And if you enter by April 24th, submit that, you are entered into a random prize drawing. That's for a Chromebook and other KET and PBS swag. So in case you didn't already know, KET is providing on-air at-home learning with Kentucky-specific content. And so they're doing a special weekday programming, and starting on April 13th, the new lineup features the Kentucky-related programming from 1 until 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's every day. In addition, we have supplemental instructional materials so that you can use those alongside the programming that's on air. And this is taken from our main webpage that I just showed you. So if you go there and click on that, you can get all the specific information about scheduling. All right, so now on to the focus here. We're going to talk about the PBS Learning Media. So if you're not familiar with it, it's a wonderful repository of educational resources, and they're multimedia. So that includes things like video, interactives, documents, and so on. These are all free, and they are all aligned to the state and I believe national educational standards, including all grade levels, pre-K on up into adult education, and there is also, if you're in need of professional development, there is online professional development. Most of the resources in Learning Media have teacher parent support materials. So I'm going to say educator because that includes teachers and parents. Support materials would include things like lesson plans, discussion questions, activity ideas, and so forth. If you use Google Classroom, you will be able to take advantage of the integration that Learning Media has with Google Classroom. You do not have to use Google Classroom, but it is integrated to let you do that. So the resources come from really reputable places like KET, NASA, PBS, the Library of Congress, and lots of other places. It is free, it is easy to use, and it also has a student version. So I'm going to show you just really quickly what that page looks like. There we go. So this is the entry point for the student version. You can see in the upper left-hand corner it says PBS LearningMedia for Students. Once a student has an account, which is free, their stuff, as you can see, my stuff, it has their assignments and projects, and then their favorites. So one thing that educators as well as students can do when they search for resources in Learning Media and they find things that they like and want to bookmark, they can click the heart that you'll see in a few minutes next to the resources, and then that will put them in their list of favorites. It's a really great, helpful, simple but helpful feature. You'll notice here is a search box, and that's where students can search for resources with keywords. You'll see too, it says here, enter code. That's only a code. It's not a school code or anything like that. Teachers or educators can quickly assign lessons or quizzes or what have you by giving a simple word and number code. The student types it in and goes straight to that lesson or quiz. It's considered a quick assign. It's called quick assign. And so there's several ways that you can share work with your students, and that's one way, and I'll talk more about that shortly. Don't be fooled, I should say this. When you look at the page, it's very colorful, and it might appear to some that it's targeting only the younger students, but in actuality, all the grade levels are covered in Learning Media. One quick tip I wanted to be sure and throw in here is whenever you're in Learning Media, you can view the student's page as a student would see it. That's called Student View. If you're ever confused about how to get back to Teacher View, you would go to the bottom of the student page, and you'll see here it says Teacher View, and I've put in an arrow pointing you to that. All right, so just some of the things that you can do with PBS Learning Media. You can create lessons, quizzes, storyboards, and puzzles. Today my focus is on quizzes and puzzles. You can help students to do research in a safe, reliable environment, so no pop-ups or advertising. You can share materials with anyone very easily and quickly, even if that person does not have a Learning Media account. And you can engage students. I mean, that's what we all want to do, right? We want to engage them with interesting content. And for young students especially, not just young, but especially the young students, they will recognize some of the content from some of their favorite PBS Kids programming. All right, so to get to the Learning Media homepage, you could either click on our link from KET Education, or you can type in ket.pbslearningmedia.org, and it will take you to this page. Now, a few things I need to point out to you. Notice that you can search a few ways. And actually, even before I mention that, let me back up. It says here up at the top in the yellow bar, Learning at Home. Start with our pre-K through 12 resources for emergency closings. So PBS, in conjunction with educators and consultants like me, we pulled lots of different favorite helpful resources in different subject areas to just get people started as quickly and easily as we could. So if you click there, you'll be taken to that list of resources. At any time when you're searching and working in Learning Media, if you need to get back to this main page quickly, all you have to do is go here to the PBS Learning Media icon, if I were actually in real time on my screen, it would let me click it, and I just clicked it by mistake, and it would take me back to the home page. The other thing I wanted to show you from that main page is the dashboard. This is just some basic information you need, and I wanted to share it with you before I get into the tools. The dashboard is in the upper right hand corner of your screen, and mine has my name on it, as you can see here. What you need to do when you go to Learning Media for the first time is just sign up, and it will prompt you. If it doesn't recognize you having an account, it will prompt you. It takes just a second to do. It's free. And the benefit of signing up, it's not required to search or use resources, but the benefit of it is that you have the capability to do all of the things with the teacher tools and so on, and you will then have a dashboard. The dashboard will have access to your list of things that you favorited. Once you have favorited at least 2 resources, you can put them into folders, which is very easy to do. Very intuitive and user-friendly learning media. So usually there's going to be a button that you click when you're trying to do something. So it would be like create folder. Also your list of assignments. So once you create lesson plans or quizzes or puzzles or storyboards, those assignments will all be listed for you, and your classes will as well. Here's a quick link to the tools, which I'm going to talk to you about today, and your profile. So this is your information. If you ever need to change anything, you can go to your profile to do that. I always tell folks when I'm training, if you can't figure out where something is, when in doubt, go to dashboard, because that's where it's going to be. All right, so you can do a general search by typing in a search term or word. You can also do a targeted search by hovering over subject or grade or the educational standards if you have a need or an interest in finding resources to meet a particular standard. You can also see the student page anytime by clicking on For Students. But you can see here I've hovered in my screenshot here, in my slide, I've hovered over the subject area, and you can go down onto the subheadings and just browse for resources that way too. I always like to start with a general search for the most part. Once you have done a general search, you can then also narrow in these ways, and you can do grades and subjects and so forth. So again, sign up for Learning Media. It's free, and then you have the ability to do all the cool things that it offers. So this is one of the results that this is sort of what it will look like if you do a search. So let's say I searched for math for preschoolers, and I found this resource. It's from a great collection that KET did called Everyday Learning. Notice if a resource comes from a grouping or a collection, it will show you that, and this would be a link. Excuse me. So this is the entry point to the resource. In this case, you have to launch it. It's an interactive, which means it's going to ask students to interact in some way, sort of like a game. And I really like this one. It asks you to measure things. So it'll show you a cartoon of a chair, and a child's voice instructs you to pick out how many books it takes to stack one on the other to measure the chair. Notice that you could favorite. If I click that heart, then that heart would become blue, and that means it's now going to go in my favorite list. This resource has support materials. Right there is the icon for that, and I've pulled it out to make it bigger to show you here. This resource's support materials is a background reading for the educator. Some resources will have one item like this one, and some will have 3 or 4 or more. All right, so now on to the tools. There are 4 teacher tools in Learning Media. There's Lesson Builder, Storyboard, Quiz Maker, and Puzzle Builder. Today I'm doing Quiz Maker and Puzzle Builder, but let me just quickly say Storyboard is a great tool because it allows you to do 2 things. You can create a virtual, sort of like a bulletin board, where you put your videos, your text, your links to outside sources, all in one place, and you can create lessons that you present to your students. You can also assign students to do a storyboard. So then they can find resources in Learning Media. Let's say you have a student who wants to learn about the deep ocean. My daughter used to love the deep ocean and all the really neat creatures that live there. They could research that. They would select their resources and what they want to present, and then they would arrange it and create it. So it's really like a virtual bulletin board that allows the student to be very creative in thinking about how to present, how to focus a topic, and so forth. So we will be doing some webinars on these other topics at different places in the future. So another good reason to keep up with us at KET Education. Lesson Builder is simply what it says. You create a lesson for your students, and you can make it as simple as the lesson is 1 step, as in watch this video and be ready to talk about it, or it can be several steps or slides, because Learning Media uses slides to create lessons and quizzes. So it could be watch this video, take the short quiz to check your learning, and answer this question. So a lesson can be as many steps as you want it to be. And then you can easily assign it to your students. Quiz Maker works exactly the same as Lesson Builder in the way that you create it. The only difference between the two is that Lesson Builder allows you to do a multi-step lesson that may include a quiz. It's optional. Quiz Maker is only quizzes. So if you want to only assess student learning, you would want to do quiz. If you want to do a lesson, which may or may not have a quiz, you would do a lesson instead of a quiz. And then Puzzle Builder allows you to create a word search puzzle or a crossword puzzle. So you can use the content that your students have been studying and just sort of mix up learning a little bit. Students tend to really love these puzzles. They can do them online, or you can print them if you wish. And I'm going to show you some of that right now. So first we've got Quiz Maker. Quiz Maker allows you to assess student learning. Be aware that all the tools, the 4 tools, have a tutorial video, anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes usually. I really like the frequently asked questions. It's very detailed, and they provide you with up-to-date screenshots to show you the different steps to things. But really, any tool that you use in here is so easy that if you just go in and follow the prompts for things, you're usually going to be able to get by without even doing a tutorial. You can see I have a button here to create a quiz. What you're looking at below is my list of quizzes that I have created and the names I have given them. You can see the date I created them and the options. So the pencil icon means I can edit. The paperclip means I can share it with anyone I wish. And then I'm going to get to the ellipses for more options in just a second. Notice that I also have my dashboard along the side of my screen here so that I can anytime go to my favorites, the other tools, my assignments, and so forth. Okay, so now before we create a quiz, I just wanted to show you how you can manage your quizzes. So you can edit, share, or hit the ellipses, and then what that gives you is options. You can view as a student, you can assign the quiz from here, you can add it to a folder. So you might have a whole folder let's say, science, and you create a quiz so you can put it in the folder with all the resources and maybe even a lesson that you've done. You can share folders as well with anyone very easily. You can delete your quizzes, and then you can view the results as your students complete them. So really, there are 2 easy steps to create a quiz. Learning Media says 3. The third step is to share, to save and share. But to actually create the quiz, there's really just 2 steps. So you're going to enter a title for your quiz that is required. And then if you want to, you can enter your instructions, and that works just like Microsoft Word, where you can type up your instructions, you can bold, italicize, underline, and so forth. If you want, you can link or take out a link, but you can link students to something outside of Learning Media, or maybe even a video within Learning Media. You get the link for that. And then you can add various things. You can do subscript, superscript, and charts and graphs, and so forth. Okay. So once I hit create a quiz, I'm going to start adding my questions. Okay. Before I do that, though, I have to pick the type of quiz or question that I want. Okay. So the type of question, let's say I want to do a multiple choice question. So I choose that, and then I'm going to follow the prompts that are then given to me based on the type of quiz I've selected. Okay. It's very easy to follow along. Once you have added all the questions you want, so I could do one question that is a short answer or a longer essay. If I want just one question, great. Then I move on and I save it, or I save and assign it. If I want more questions in my quiz, I just continue to add and select and follow the prompts until all my questions are done. Okay, very easy to do. You'll also be asked to read and indicate you've read the Learning Media privacy notices. So you'll have to check the box, and then it will allow you to save so that you can come back later, or save and go ahead and assign the quiz. Now, if you click Save and Assign, it gives you this box. You can go back and edit. Maybe you hit that by mistake. Whoops, I'm going to go back and keep working. Or you can assign it a few ways. If you have a class already set up, and this would include Google Classroom, you can either create a class or assign it to a class that you've got. You hit those, and then it will prompt you, and it will take you to Google Classroom if that's what you're using. Or you can do Quick Assign. Remember, I mentioned that earlier. Every assignment that you create will be given a word number combination. For this assignment or this quiz, here is my code. That's what the students, remember back on the student page, if they are given a code, this is where they would enter it. Just make a note, sometimes students will get the search box where they search for resources confused with the code box. So be sure they enter it in the right box. If something's not acting right, then they've probably put it in the wrong box. Okay. Or if you want, you can copy the link and email it to your student, and it will take them straight to your quiz. Now I'm going to move on to our Puzzle Builder tool. Puzzle Builder, let's make sure I didn't skip one. Yes. Puzzle Builder is very much what it says. You're going to create either a word search like this, and you can see that I've taken some words from a lesson about frogs' metamorphosis process, turning from the tadpoles into the frogs, and I've made a word search. This one is for younger students, so it lets you pick the complexity and the grade level for the student. Here's froglet, you can see that one, embryo, and so forth. And then here is an example of a very short crossword that I did for older students on a lesson about women role models. So maybe I had students even create a storyboard on women role models after we studied some famous women in history. And so then this would be an example of a crossword puzzle that you can do. If you do it, if the student does it online, when they finish it, it will say, congratulations, you found all the words. Or you can print it out and give it to them that way. All right, so creating a puzzle, very similar and easy, just like a quiz. First thing you're going to do, you're going to click the button that says create a puzzle, and then this is what you'll see. Give it a title. And this is when I created the puzzle I showed you about the frog metamorphosis. So it says the text you provide here will be displayed to your students at the top of the assignment. So this is my instructions. Find some of the words you've learned about frogs. Next, below that, I have selected that I want to do a word search, not a crossword, but a word search. So I have two choices there. And then I select the difficulty. So for beginners, it's going to be an 8x8 grid with no backwards or diagonal words. So that would be for your youngest students. And then you can customize it if you want and choose your options. Then it says to create a word list, no more than 20 words, separated by spaces or commas. And then it gives you an example. And then I just went in and typed in my words. Okay, so the words I typed in are here, and I hit add, and it put them there. It shows me that I've added them. I can save, or I can again save and assign. Okay. Once I have finished my puzzle, it will now be in my list of created puzzles or assignments. Because I'm in the puzzle builder, it's going to only show me the puzzles that I've created. If I went to assignments, it would show me anything I've created in order, chronological order. Okay, so you can see the date that I created some puzzles here. And we at KET Education are here. We want to help if we can. So thank you for your interest and best wishes.